A number of years ago, a Scandinavian researcher published material on how to prevent type 1 diabetes. Now, type 1 occurs, as you know, usually in small children or teenagers. And type 1, as I mentioned, the islet cells that make insulin die, and no insulin is made. And so the sugar goes way up. And so those kids, it's usually kids, end up having to inject insulin for the rest of their lives. All right, what this researcher did was to have very small children from the time they were weaned from mother given 2,000 units of vitamin D a day. Wow, that's a lot of vitamin D. But funny thing, they were given that for 5 years and none of them had an overdose. They got 2,000 units a day. And the kids who got the 2,000 units a day, as compared with a matched group who were no vitamin D, and it was a big enough group to be very statistically significant, and they also checked the genetic inheritance to find out there were equal numbers of those who tended to type 1 diabetes or not. The kids who got the 2,000 units of vitamin D a day had 80% less type 1 diabetes. I said 80% less type 1 diabetes. The researcher's name is Kekkonen, K-E-K-K-O-N-E-N. You can find it if you go to the National Library of Medicine online and just put his name in with diabetes. Now, there are reports of why the so-called RDAs, they don't call them RDAs anymore, but the RDAs in Scandinavia were about to be set at 2,000 units a day for kids. And I wasn't there, so I can't say this is true for sure, but the reports are that a delegation of one of our government agencies flew to Scandinavia. Oh my goodness, that's too much vitamin D, we can't have that. And after extensive negotiations, the requirement was reset for 1,000 units a day, even though, for small children, even though they showed a prevention of 80% of type 1 diabetes. Now, there was another piece of research done by other researchers who had this group of pregnant mommies take a tablespoon of cod liver oil every day. And remember that cod liver oil is a very rich source of vitamin D as well as omega-3 fatty acids. And this group of pregnant mommies just took their average prenatal vitamins. The ones who took the cod liver oil took average prenatal vitamins too, but they took cod liver oil. And then those kids kids born to those mothers were followed up for 18 years, and there was a reduction in cases of type 1 diabetes of over 50%. So it appears that vitamin D in a higher than usual dose is capable of preventing type 1 diabetes to a substantial degree. Have we heard of that here in this country? Nope. And there it is in the medical journals. Now, I haven't been to medical school lately, but this is the kind of thing that we were not taught in medical school. And I don't think, I'm just guessing now because I haven't been to medical school lately, you have too many gray hairs for that, but this is the kind of thing that I don't think is taught today in medical schools, because I talk to pediatricians. They're not aware that type 1 diabetes is that preventable, just with vitamin D.